Hey everybody, it's Eugene Liscio and welcome to Click 3D. This is the program where we talk about 3D technologies like photogrammetry and laser scanning. We talk about hardware and software, all kinds of different things. Now today I have a guest and he is from SkyeBrowse. And we had a brief conversation, or we met maybe a few weeks ago. And it was really interesting because they are a platform that you can use with your drone to help create 3D models. But what I liked about it is they were using videogrammetry. And for those of you that know what videogrammetry is, it's basically photogrammetry, but using video. And when using video, you have sort of individual frames, 30 frames a second, 24 frames a second, whatever it is that you're using. And you can pull those frames and process them like regular photographs. But their company is doing something a little different with videogrammetry. And we're going to try and rip out some of the technical details and find out what's going on sort of behind the scenes. So my guest today is Bobby Ouyang, and he is the co-founder and CEO of SkyeBrowse. And we met a little while ago, and I'm going to bring him in here right now. Hey, Bobby, how you doing?
Good. Eugene, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks very much for being here today. So I wasn't lying. I'm going to try and rip out all the technical secrets you have without getting in trouble with the company, but going to be looking for some cool stuff.
I'll
Um,
try not to say too much.
yeah,
Wouldn't into too much
yeah,
trouble.
yeah. Well, to start with, can you give me a bit of background about yourself and kind of how you got involved in this area, maybe starting, with your studies and stuff like that?
Yeah, so SkyeBrowse started at Rutgers University. It was actually a research grant funded by the US DOT, and I was one of the researchers. My co-founder and current CTO, Peter, was the principal investigator and a professor there, and I was working underneath him to do video-based 3D model reconstruction in a little different way. Um, it paid really well, so I kept on doing it. It wasn't really a passion of mine, but it paid really well, and I learned a lot about it. So I kept on doing it because I was born in Beijing, moved to Indiana to a trailer park when I was 2.5, lived there for a
Hmm.
while, and then Oklahoma, California, and then finally New Jersey. So moved around a lot, really understood the value of money, and because it paid so well, I kept on doing it. And of course, it helped me, pay off student loans, apartment rent, utilities, you name
Oh
it.
yeah,
I had a new
yeah,
motorcycle. Well, it was used, but
yeah.
it was new to me. So I kept on doing it, and, around the time when I graduated, I actually got into a motorcycle accident. I was
Mm.
riding for about a year at the time, and I took a turn too quick, going about 65 miles an hour, and, I low-sided my bike, tumbled about 100 feet or so, and ended up with a hole in my foot, lost a few toenails and everything, and it was actually my little brother's graduation at the time, so the only thing I had in my mind was, "Oh, man, I'm gonna be late." And I didn't realize that there was blood splurting out my foot and everything, so I had to go to the hospital. I missed this graduation. This was back in the day, so no virtual graduations or anything like that. So I missed it. And at the hospital, I was like, I should probably get my motorcycle back, see if I can, visit my brother. So
Hmm.
I called my friends about 2, 3 hours later. I was like, hey, can you pick up my bike? And they go on scene, and there's still police officers there doing accident investigation. But it was just me on the scene. That's when I realized, hey, accident investigation is really inefficient. Maybe there's a better way we can do this, especially with our technology that we've been working on for so long. And at the time, our technology was just there was a lot of code. It was like research code as well. So no friendly user experience, no user experience at all,
Right,
aside from
right.
like us. But we continued to do that, and it really spurred out SkyeBrowse, which now does not just accident investigation, but also pre-planning, SWAT scouts, natural disasters, CSI, and significantly more.
Well, I'm glad you're okay. I didn't realize that it was an accident that sort of prompted you to sort of look at the accident investigation in a different light. So that's an interesting story. And so, in terms of the formation of SkyeBrowse, what was the initial team like, or what was the how did that sort of come to be?
It was just, Pete and I, we were just coding together, and that's about it. And then, we raised a few rounds of fundraising and used that money to hire some more people to build out more of the UI aspect of SkyeBrowse, and I just kept on coding on the 3D modeling side, just to make it, incrementally better and whatnot, like maybe 10%, 5% faster and whatnot, a little more accurate. But, a lot of our hires are to, like, build out this clean, unified experience you get when you fly SkyeBrowse.
Okay. Well, let's talk about SkyeBrowse and kind of what it is and what it means to people. Now, I had a quick demo, and actually, you showed me some stuff several weeks ago or whatever. And I have to tell you, the thing that impressed me the most was the simplicity, and I think that's a really key point, especially when you are dealing with people in public safety. That's super important. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that, and if you need to, I don't know if you need to share your screen or anything, by all means, please do. But yeah, just go ahead and let me know.
Yeah, so SkyeBrowse allows anyone to make a 3D model with one button press. We really focus on the one button press to simplify everything. And this is primarily designed for public safety. We've categorized our use cases into three categories: before, during, and after the incident. So, before the incident would be for some tactical pre planning. If you're mapping out, say, FDNY uses it to map out a good amount of areas for hazmat. LA Port Police does the same, mapping out the entire port of Los Angeles
Hmm.
with it. Deering would be for search and rescue, as well as our thermal mapping, which is the video right there. If you could play the video, I'll actually talk more about our thermal mapping as well.
Okay. Let's.
So this is our thermal mapping. This was one week after we released our product with Autel. And basically, you can see this is a live structure fire. You can see water cannons going up. But pay
Hmm.
attention to all the smoke right there. There's all that smoke. But with the thermal video right there, with the white hot isotherm and the FLIR camera, you can see
Hmm.
that there is no smoke whatsoever. And
That's
because
cool.
thermal video sizes are so small, it only takes about 30 seconds to process. So
What
you're
kind of resolution is the thermal camera?
It's a 640 by 512, so not great resolution, but and also this is not radiometric either. This is just to give you information right away from right.
Right.
So now you know where all the hotspots are of the people around the area. But the most important part right there is the residual heat, and um, it just essentially tells you like which areas of the building may be burning and may not be safe to stand on. So imagine you're on a large scale warehouse fire. You have all these firefighters up there. This is not something you can see, touch, or hear.
Right.
Something that if you touch, you fall into. So having this information really improves firefighting and firefighter safety in the future.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there were obviously some other products that people were selling, when you guys got involved, like other photogrammetry software or whatever that people were marketing. So what was your approach initially? Like what were you saying, hey, you know what, we got to differentiate ourselves somehow, or we're bringing something new. So what was the key component there for you that said, yeah, we can do this and we have something to offer?
Well, I was just really surprised that all the other 3D modeling companies out there were so slow comparative to us. Some are a lot faster, but you really require some supercomputers to build it and to build the 3D model quickly. And this is something that we we're just running on laptops, and we're like, wow, this is crazy how we're able to generate this so quickly. Let's use that. So quick 3D models, and then because we're not taking like 800 pictures for a medium to large scale crime scene, say like a fatal accident with 100 feet, 200 feet skid marks.
Hmm.
Now, now we can just do it with one button press, and it gathers the data with one video, and the video is quick as well. So I'll actually go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah,
Could
please.
put it up, and I will show a demo of it.
There you go.
Okay, so this is SkyeBrowse right here. It's just a 2-minute tutorial video that I'll narrate through. It's an iOS app. Currently works with iOS. In about 6 months or so, will work with Android as well. You just open up the SkyeBrowse app right here, and then connect to your drone. We work with most DJI drones and all Autel drones. The DJI drones we don't work with are the tiny ones. So the ones that require DJI Fly, so Mavic Mini, Air, Spark, FPV, those drones. And also the two newer DJI drones, the Enterprise Advanced, as well as the M300. Those drones we currently don't support, but likely will in the coming months. And then on the Autel end, we work with all Autel drones.
Okay. Are there any drones in particular that you found that provide really excellent results or sort of exceptional data over the others?
The Evo 2 Pro right now makes the best 3D models by far.
Okay.
Amazing 3D models. And I might show some 3D models of it in a sec. But
Yeah.
right here, you can see that all you have to do is press the SkyeBrowse button open up, and you get 3 buttons. There's SkyeBrowse, Exit, and a map view. So with the SkyeBrowse, you can see on the bottom right there's a map view. If you tap it, it opens up, and you get 2 circles. So whatever's in those 2 circles turn into a 3D model. If you fly higher, it gets bigger. If you fly lower, it gets smaller. And you tap start.
Is there a significance to the inner circle versus the outer circle?
So the drone currently is flying to its inner circle, which is at its current altitude. That gets its finer details right here. So at the current altitude, it's gathering flight logs. It's going to start recording video itself, and it's getting the finer details around the area. And then the outer circle flies a little higher to get the surrounding environment as well.
Yep. And because you're taking video, obviously video kicks in right away. You're recording basically the whole flight, and then there's no other, do you have to do any other photographs or things like that afterwards, or it's just pretty much just the video?
Yeah, it's just one video. There were some rumors that video is inferior to pictures, and I just want to squash them right away because we're using every single frame of the video. We have more pixels to choose from for sampling and turning into a 3D model. So that's how we're able to make really accurate and really good looking 3D models, which I'll show in a sec.
Yeah, it's a really good point, actually. And I've actually heard that before from other people that use video, and there's sort of a balance. Like some say, if you took some high resolution images, like really, really big images, what's actually better? Like, you can take more frames that are smaller, but because you have more, you may have more coverage, or you may have, additional pixels to use that you didn't have in the photos. So that's a really good point. And I noticed, you started with the circle, and here on screen now you have sort of a rectangular map. So what you have the option to do different types of flight plans?
Exactly. So you have SkyeBrowse and WideBrowse. So I'm going to enter into WideBrowse, which is our long range mapping platform. You can map out 50 acres in 5 minutes with WideBrowse, up to about 200 acres, a 20-minute drone flight. So just unprecedented levels of mapping quality and just mapping range that usually requires fixed wings to do or VTOLs to do. Now you can do it with a commercial off-the-shelf drone. So with WideBrowse, whatever is highlighted turns into a 3D model. You can pinch to zoom out, zoom in, rotate, and whatever you just press right there, then turn into the camera view. And then there's an AI baked into the app that recommends an altitude. This is analyzing thousands of models to get the best range and also quality and speed right here. So you just tap start, and you can see that the drone does this grid pattern with WideBrowse. It's been updated last week, so it captures more sides of facades in version 3.1. So that's pretty nice as well. Now you can get more sides of buildings and whatnot. And I just want to pause right here and mention the user experience side of SkyeBrowse.
Okay.
So these are the little things that you may not notice, but make your life a lot better. So what you see right here is where the drone took off, the current flight path of the drone, and where I am, where the pilot is right here. For WideBrowse, the drone will always fly to its furthest waypoint first for a reason. And the reason is while the drone's flying, it's running lower and lower on battery. So you want the drone to fly closer to the pilot as opposed to away from the pilot, which as a result, boosts some pilot confidence right there. Having this WideBrowse right here. And you can see because we're using video, we force the drone to fly at 34 miles an hour. So that's how we're able to capture so much area as opposed to a drone, say, flying and then slowing down to take a picture. We don't do that because we use every single frame of the video and we don't need to slow down. Otherwise, you'll get a blurry picture right there.
Right.
And that's the entire platform right there. You upload, I'll stop sharing. You upload your video to our website, and in about 10 minutes you'll get an email saying that your model's ready, and it's accurate down to a centimeter. We use a CGIS compliant cloud that's also FedRAMP impact level 2 compliant, so trusted by the DoD. They don't currently use it, but in the case that they do, they can just jump on in right away. 9 of our models have gone through court, mostly in Texas, Kansas, and Illinois. Although I bet some have gone through in court in California as well. Just got to ask around.
Right. Yeah.
It has been validated by the judicial system, and the goal is really simplifying public safety, accident reconstruction, and other use cases in emergency response.
Yeah, I like the simplicity is fantastic. I love the, you pick, you can drag or, just sort of create a window and let the thing go do what it needs to do, which is great. But let me ask you about the technology now. So in traditional if we say, I wouldn't say photography, but using photographs for photogrammetry, it's snap, snap, snap. You take a bunch of individual images and then process them. With videogrammetry, the video is constantly running at whatever frame rate. I don't know if some of the cameras are using 60 frames a second or different frame rates, but let's say, I'm assuming that it's going to be close to 30 for most of them. But again, you're extracting images. Now, some people, instead of using every single frame, they will filter through. So like they'll look at each frame, but then they'll say, this one's no good, this one's no good, and then I'll use this one. So do you guys have a similar system to sort through and process the individual frames of the video, or can you talk about some of the things you're doing up front?
Yeah, so a lot of people thought in the beginning, and of course we had no marketing spend, so I didn't even know about it, nor did we counter it. That we just extract frames from the video and then toss it into some third-party engine like RealityCapture or Agisoft or Bentley.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case. What we do is we pre-generate the 3D model when you press the start button. So we require users to have internet access ahead of time, or there is an offline mode, but you still have to open the app so that all the information is sent to our servers, and our servers pre-generate a 3D model using various satellite imageries. And of course, afterwards, when you upload the video, we already have a pre-generated rough sketch of a 3D model. We just slap the video frames on top of it. And of course, there's motion blur compensation and camera distortion compensation. That's all done in the background as well. So
Okay.
we're able to get some
So
good.
I got to ask you about pre-generating the model. So you're saying that you said satellite imagery, and you got internet access. So obviously you know where you are, sort of in the area. So when the user selects the region or whatever, you're collecting satellite imagery, so like different types of satellite imagery, and then processing those, like pre-processing those to kind of get, I don't know, some kind of a lay of the land for where you are.
Exactly. So when I'm talking about satellite imagery itself, it's where the user is not sending satellite imagery to our servers.
Right.
The user is just sending GPS coordinates to our servers. So we just have those coordinates and know exactly which areas to choose from. But if I were to share my screen
Yeah.
again, I'll show you exactly.
Yeah, because now I'm kind of curious, because like you're using satellite imagery, but what happens in the case where, for example, you've got a snowy scene, all of a sudden there's snow, or there's things that are covered that where the geometry is slightly different from the satellite image, but
Then we go back to traditional CMVS and PMVS2
okay.
methodology. But you can see right here, this house is burnt. This is
Hmm.
completely different than the satellite imagery altogether. However, the surrounding environment right here, you can see the sidewalk right here, the grass, the tree, this all remains the same, right? So we don't need to change anything on this, and we only match the pixels right here on certain portions of the video. So we're not matching all of the video. You can see where my cursor is moving. These
Hmm.
are the areas that we're matching, specifically just this house right here. So we're creating a 3D model of this house and using satellites to generate the rest and just slapping frames from the video on top of this
I
right
see.
here. So as a result, we're using significantly less processing power to generate the 3D model right here, which is the stuff that matters, as opposed to right here, which already exists.
Gotcha. So is there a service that you people get, like high resolution imagery, like satellite imagery, that you're linking to, and that's kind of what you're, or is it like an open source thing, or just readily available images that you can pre-process? I don't know if you can say anything about
I can't. The satellite
that.
imagery stuff is.
No
I'll get in
problem.
trouble. Peter will not. I'm grabbing lunch with Peter in like an hour and a half, and
Oh
if he
yeah,
watches this podcast, he'll be mad at me.
no problem at all. Okay, so you pre-process, and then you go into the video, and then so basically there's you have some intelligence there to say, okay, this is the part that we're going to reconstruct from the images, and then kind of like create a 3D model, and then there's a portion which is borrowed from or pre-processed from the satellite imagery, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So, the gist of this is when you press the start button, we build the house, the foundation of the house. And then when you upload the video, the walls are painted, the decorations are added afterwards. And that's
Okay.
how the 3D models are made in an accurate, but also really, really quick manner.
Right, right, right. And then so this all gets processed online, And then what does the user get in return? It's just like an indicator that says, hey, or did they have like some kind of an interface that they work with that says, that gives them the option to export the model, to like do stuff right in your system? Like they work both ways?
Yep. Yep. So you have the option to export the model, which we don't recommend, mostly because a lot of the 3D model viewer softwares are designed around construction or surveying, and there's just a lot of extra buttons and whistles and dials that you really don't need. So what we did was we boiled it down to just the parts that public safety need altogether. In fact, there's not even a volume tool in our viewer, and we're not going to put one in just because no one needs to calculate the volume of a car crash.
Right,
That's
right, right.
part of accident investigation formulas. I'll
Okay.
share my screen and go over the dashboard as well.
Okay.
So, what kind of model do you want to see? Crime scenes,
Yeah,
accident
do a
scenes?
crash scene or a fire scene, something like that would be great.
Okay, crash scene right here.
So this is what a user would, this is like the interface that a user would be working with, or no?
Exactly. So, I'll just log in right here to
Okay.
my account, and you can see there's some cards around here. It's like there's thumbnails as well showing you, the video, so you get a little preview of it. But basically, once you're done, once you've pressed the start button, a card will populate on your dashboard showing you the location as well as the date right here. If you click into it, you get more information like the flight pattern where the user took off right here. You can change the name of it, add a tag to it, a description to it as well. In the flight portion, it gives you more chain of custody, so more compliance stuff telling you, what drone you use and all the things that's going on in our back end.
Mm-hmm.
You can share this really, really easily. So you can just share by link. This gives you a pop-up saying it affects your chain of custody. But if you do agree with that, basically what happens is anyone with this link can open this up now. They have exactly what you see right here.
Gotcha.
That's pretty nice right there. Or you can share uh, to Sky Browser. It just puts it into an email. This is the more secure way, maintains chain of custody and CJIS compliance because we can track, where the file is going right here, and they'll
Mm-hmm.
get an email with it. You can download this in a LAS file. As of about 2-3 months ago, we've integrated with Faro and Leica and Trimble and just about any 3D model viewer. So you can toss this into accident investigation softwares and use that for your measurements. Although, don't tell them I said this, but our 3D models do look a lot better than the laser scanner models.
Well, point cloud data, it's sort of useful for, but it's not a visual sort of thing. A textured 3D model will always look better than a point cloud. That's for sure. That's something that, in fact, I don't even like showing people, sort of these animated point clouds unless they're super, super dense, right? Otherwise, it just looks like sparse points, and people look at it going, I can see through walls and stuff, and it just looks like a mess. So yeah, textured OBJ or something like that is always preferred for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
we
I,
uh, we don't- we actually don't do textured models. It's point clouds only, but they're
is it
really
really?
dense. Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty dense. Okay. Well, maybe I'm not getting close enough to the point cloud then. I got to get closer. But what tools do you have in the software in terms of like measurement and validation, that sort of thing?
So this is already annotated. You can see that it saves your work right here. This was a fatal accident where this USPS driver pulled out right here, and this car hit the USPS driver. So you can get rid of this. You can zoom in a little more. You can see details of this vehicle and whatnot, as well as the final rest of
Hmm.
this vehicle right here. So basically, the most basic one is the annotation. You can just type in USPS truck and click it. The model, super important because you can also pick up evidence markers in your 3D model. It does not pick up shell casings, but if you know what the evidence markers are labeling, then you can do all the work in there. Um, you can do distance as well. This is accurate down to a centimeter. So you can just toss this in right here, change it to metric if you'd like, or if you're American, so stay on the imperial side.
Hmm.
Area measurements, just them left clicking right here. That's it. Area. It gives you an acre sign as well to give you
Hmm.
a general idea of how large the area is. You can turn this into a heat map, which in this case is just flat, so there's no heat in here. But if I were to
Right.
pull up, say, like a NFL stadium for pre-planning like this, it shows a pretty cool heat map. The heat map just gives you elevation itself. So this was some pre-planning done for Cleveland Police Department. So they mapped this out in a 5-minute drone flights. And with the heat map option right here, the brighter the color, the higher it is. The darker the color, the lower it is. And you can see the layers really, really nicely. So like showing this model. And of course, elevation profile. Usually 3D models aren't accurate on the z-axis.
Hmm.
You maintain centimeter level accuracy still, because this is all relative accuracy altogether. So
Right.
you can see everything is relative to each other, hence some negative numbers right here. But if you do some quick maths, you can get elevation down to a centimeter really, really easily.
I like that tool. That's a nice slice tool there. That's quite nice that you can do that pretty quick.
Yep, you can just move it around and I'll show you the cross section right there.
Yeah, that's great for roadways and looking at the camber of the roadway and things like that. That's quite useful.
And finally, we have an isolator tool. So I'll actually just log into my account and show you the isolator tool. So this is a model done, let's see, CRTC, done by a student at LACRTC.
Hmm.
This was their first model they've ever made in SkyeBrowse with our Night Ops AI. So you can make 3D models at nighttime, and you can see with the Fox Fury lights over there, you can get some pretty good nighttime 3D models. With this isolator tool, if you zoom out a little, you can actually get cross sections of the 3D model right here, allowing you to focus on exactly what matters for accident investigation. You can move this around as well, like this, to get other sorts of cross sections.
Right.
You can also remove it from the model as well. So you
Yeah.
get this really cool clipping tool that allows you to clip into the 3D model, but also doesn't change the 3D model. It just changes what the viewer shows you right here. So you can do even more measurements off of that, which is really nice. And
Hmm.
you want to see something new that we're releasing pretty soon?
I would love to see something new.
All right. I haven't actually announced this yet. So
Okay.
this will be part of the announcement.
All right.
So this is a factual diagram in the state of California. It's mandatory for major vehicle collisions. You can see right here, the local police department does this, and it gets sent up to the California Highway Patrol, CHP, to review. So this is the diagram sent to CHP, and this is an actual motorcycle fatal. If you zoom in right here, you can see it's done with the total station 149. Any accident investigators watching this video will know that this is 5 hours on scene, 2 minutes for every single one of these dots right here, lugging that total station around for this model right here. And of course, so you have all these reference measurements and everything, but of course, even with all of that, you need to take so much more measurements within the 3D model, and it is tedious. This is 5 hours on scene right here and 5 hours in the office right here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you something that hasn't been released just yet. Currently in testing, but I'll show you a fatal here down in Texas. This right here, this has been settled in court, I believe, so I can show this. This is where the pilot took off, the drone flight pattern right here. This was at a target distribution center where a tractor trailer driver, I'll just show the video right here, was backing up, hit a bump. Turned out the bump was a person.
Mm.
Was confused and then drove forward again, and really just not a good sight right
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah.
in this 1 minute 30-second video, you can see it documents just about all of it, as well as the cap on the ground, the skid right here from the person and whatnot. So if I were to go into this 3D model right here, I'll just get rid of this. I've made some initial measurements already, so or just annotations already.
Annotations. Yeah.
Trailer, the hat, the skids, and everything. Now all you have to do is just put in just a cone or something like that in the back. Put it in a reference point, usually somewhere in the center of the model is good. Let's say like right here. Put down a case number and a description. This is a podcast demo right here. Then click Get Report. So
Okay.
this takes roughly 10 seconds or so to generate this report. Basically, our server is using AI in the back end to get you something like this. It's a factual diagram generated by us right here. So you have the XYZ coordinate plane with all the skids, the body mark, all the annotations right here. It's north heading as well as standardized with map view. But most importantly, all of the measurements are done for you
Okay.
right here.
Okay. And that's always all of the measurements are with reference to the reference axis that you put down, correct?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's something that I can see is super useful. That's, a great deliverable that you can say, hey, for the courts, we did our mapping or whatever, and then here you go. So that's super helpful. Otherwise, what do you give, right? You show a pretty picture or something. So yeah, this is a great option. You talked about accuracy, and I believe on your website you had a little study that you did, or something that you had published, and it's this one here. So it says quality control study on drone-based accident site 3D modeling platforms for nighttime operations and analysis. And yeah, you mentioned Fox Fury too. So actually, thank you to Antonio for introducing us too, because I know he's been doing some work with you as well. But can you talk to me a little about this particular study and what you found?
So we really wanted something that showed that we are accurate, not just having departments make a 3D model and then take measurements inside of each 3D model over time, because that just defeats the purpose of 3D modeling altogether. Then, like you said, it's just a pretty picture. So we
Hmm.
didn't want to do something like that. What we did was we took some of the most accurate 3D modeling softwares and companies out there and did a comparison study on it. I didn't do the study. I was still in New Jersey, and this was done in California. But Airborne Works did the study where they even hired a surveyor, Gold Coast Surveying, to survey the entire scene, and then map it out using the same criteria with SkyeBrowse, Pix40, and Leica. So Pix40 and Leica are some of the industry standards right now. They've been around for a very long time, making laser scanners, all about precision and whatnot. So we figured let's go against the best altogether. And in this model, you can see we put down some GCPs just for measurement purposes, starting from the square, showing different comparisons of what it looks like um, on each 3D model right
Hmm.
here. This is, I think, the surveying picture where the surveyor took a picture of the entire scene right there. Of you can see a crash dummy, some miscellaneous objects and whatnot, and you can see that's the Leica BLK 360 right there.
Right.
That's accurate down to I believe 8 millimeters. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's low. It's accurate. It's really accurate.
Right. Right. Right.
And then we compared that right there on that chart with Pix4D and us to get the exact measurements from GCP to GCP, and then showing which ones are the most accurate. In addition, there's also a lot of pictures in this. I think it's like 60 something pages or 80 pages. I think there's like
Hmm.
a total of 80 pages of white papers somewhere in the internet about us. But right here, it shows just the accuracy in terms of how accurate we are. And it seems to be just about 1 centimeter accuracy altogether.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm glad you guys posted stuff like this, because often these kinds of studies are needed for public safety, because they need to validate, or at least know that people have done some kind of validation and testing. So yeah, good on you for doing that. I think that's a really good idea. And if you do more, I don't know if you're working on any more, or if there's other people working on more stuff like this, but I would recommend you guys do more and more, and just keep working on it and doing this kind of thing, getting it out there. It's super helpful. Um, yeah. Um, Let me ask you this. So what kinds, I mean, where do you guys see SkyeBrowse going, like sort of in the future? Like what are there, is there sort of an avenue or path or a particular direction that you want to tackle? Is it, public safety right now? Are there other areas that you're looking at as well?
So construction seems to be the likely one, just because construction cares about progress over time, and also the accuracy is nice as well for cut fill when they're digging up land to build things on it. I'm not a construction guy, that's why
Hmm.
my terminology is probably completely off. Um, but we really want to focus more on public safety and also the federal agencies as well, bringing this technology to them, because the key is really is to simplify emergency response. We want to cover not only just accident reconstruction, but also do some better stuff with search and rescue. So we're releasing our Midnight Sun platform in about 4 months or so. Midnight Sun is wide browse, our long range mapping meets Find My iPhone. So the way it works is you have a drone flying wide browse doing its back and forth grid pattern, but it's doing it in thermal as well. So it'll give
Oh,
you a thermal, and also does some tree removal. So it removes the trees and whatnot and shrubs from the area. So it only gives you the hotspots. And those hotspots are sent to the SkyeBrowse search app, which is our companion app. And you get the thermal picture, the EO picture, the RGB picture, the coordinate location, and also when you press Midnight Sun, what will happen is, just like Find My iPhone, it'll say like 60 feet in that direction is missing persons number one, and then you get a
hmm.
little checkbox saying like, is that a missing person, or is that a really hot rock or a log or something like that. And then really just simplify search and rescue, just because we can cover so much area at once, and this gives you like a targeted way of finding missing persons. And
Right, right.
so
Do you
something that's
guys,
coming.
you've mentioned a couple times in the conversation about using AI, and I'm just wondering, like how important is AI to SkyeBrowse and sort of the engine that you're working with, and do you see other implementations of AI going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Some auto annotations and labeling of just say crime scenes, or automatically find evidence markers right away,
Mm,
or automatically get skid marks around the area and do your calculations for you. That would be really cool to do. But currently, AI is more on the accident investigation side, where we just hired 3 PhDs last week to work on some near miss collision AI, basically detecting when cars will crash before they even crash within like a 10-second increment or so.
right.
We've been working on this for like 2.5 years now, and we're just going to turn it into a production level application for cities and states, so they can figure out hotspots of car crashes before the cars even crash altogether. So now you
Yes.
have a video of the car crash happening, and then the 3D model afterwards. It's gonna be really helpful for accident investigators.
No, that's great. That's really cool. I think that's most of what I have, but I have a question. Do you mind if I put up your LinkedIn here? Like if people want to reach out to you, would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let me just pop that up here. So, yeah, if you want to reach out to Bobby, he's up on LinkedIn. You can always just try to connect with him or message. And he's been pretty good about responding to me. So I know he's probably got a few things on his plate, but you can always reach out to them there. And then, of course, the SkyeBrowse website. You can always probably connect. There's probably a contact form or something through there that you can connect with as well. Um, yeah, look, that's fantastic. I have to say, like, I'm impressed with the product, with the way it's coming together, and honestly, it's mostly because of the simplicity and the quality of the product in the end. So, I know that there's some really heavy, complex photogrammetry software that they work great or whatever, but they're not. How can you say? They're not the most user friendly. All right. So it sounds like what you guys have is a good combination of good quality product and simplicity. So yeah, congratulations on having a decent product like that.
Thank you. Thank you. User experience is the most important thing about this app, and we take user feedback. Actually, you see all these features that I'm talking about that I showed off. They weren't our ideas. It was actually from the feedback of our public safety users, just telling us, "Hey, this would be really beneficial," and that's why we would add it in.
That's awesome. All right, hey Bobby, we're gonna get going here, but thank you again so much. Hang back because I'll come back and chat with you in just a little bit.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks a lot. Take care. All right, everyone. Well, that does it. Really interesting sort of concept with SkyeBrowse. I like what they're doing. I'm going to need to find out more about this pre-processing part and 3D models. Sounds really interesting because it seems like it's doing a really good job and very speedy job at that. So it looks like a good product for public safety for sure. That does it. And thank you very much for watching. And I hope to see you next time on Click 3D. Take care. Bye-bye.